Some of the coaching people are charging 30, 40, 50,000, even 100,000 to teach how to buy their first RAL. And that's okay. It's their business plan. But in my case, we just do it all in that same syndication, multifamily, RALs, hotels, franchises, all in there so that people can really understand.
I think that will help people really forecast the capital requirement, because a lot of people don't have their needs. Now with SBA financing, we can build in working capital on most of these deals. But I think it's important because like people just say, oh, I can do this for this, but then they go, well, I'm missing $100,000 of working capital. Where am I going to get that from? And so that's what we try to structure in the SBA financing.
Hi there, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Vinney and Beau Show. We come to you on Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about if you like frogs. I remember, Beau, we ate frog legs in New Orleans. I just thought about it. But we are talking about the book, Eat the Frog. Eat the Frog, I think is the name, which is a great book, and we're going to discuss that. And also we'll talk about today about the webinar we are putting together. We'd like to do Vinney and Beau, both Beau and Vinney, a monthly webinar where we'll be giving free information, free knowledge, and really great things on the current topics, which we really get better into. That's residential assisted living. In my case, I've gone from multifamily to complex assisted living, and now into residential. And Brother Beau is into franchising world and loans. I mean, he's just killing it. He's just, making a big mark in that.
Yeah, I spent an hour and a half with a new couple. They're actually big house flippers. They flip about 60 houses a year, and then they have a rental portfolio. And so he had heard me on a podcast, and he's like, I already have all these tradespeople. I want to own a home service type of franchise. So we evaluated 7 or 8 today. He likes 2 of them for sure. He wants to have additional calls. So it's there's a lot of opportunity out there, guys. I think when times are tough is the time to really take advantage of opportunities. And I did a webinar on how to buy your first business with SBA financing yesterday. We had over 1,000 people RSVP. Obviously, we don't have that many show up, but everybody's asking for the replay. So we had close to 200 people show up. Vinney and I are doing a webinar next week.
Yes.
And how to achieve
next Wednesday. Yeah.
How to achieve financial freedom through residential assisted living. We're going to talk about how to find them, how to fund them, how to get an operator in there, how to be SBA eligible, how to use bridge financing to take down the property, because typically you need your license in place to get the SBA financing.
Yes.
I had one of your listeners reach out. He's in your mastermind. I won't mention his name, but he wants to do residential assisted living, and he's he's trying to go for it.
Very nice.
Just go get one. You guys gotta if you don't have experience in it, right? You can't just do 10 at once. You have to have experience. Like Vinney has experience because he owns residential assisted living. If you're new to the game, I appreciate hey, I'm going to do 4 at once and get SBA financing for all of it. That's not going to, it will work if you have experience and you have a good balance sheet. Yeah. But I think people get overzealous. I go let's just get one going first, right? Because you got to build out your systems, right? And build out what is it going to cost to furnish, FF&E, all these things that you're going to need for your SBA. What's the actual licensing requirement in your state or city? If they have licensing, some are more liberal. Like Arizona is fairly easy compared to maybe California. So I think people need to kind of learn that. And then also this guy was trying to do it. He lives in California. He wants to do it in Florida. And it's like, well, how are, you got to remember banks are going to look at the whole picture. And the whole picture, it needs to make sense. Like, okay, you're buying in Florida, but you live in California and you have a job. How are you going to run the business? Now, if you're an experienced operator, like what we could show for Vinney, then it's a little bit easier. Okay, he owns ALFs in multiple markets, right? So you guys got to just think about it. Now, he said he's going to have a place there where you can go and fly out there and stuff, but everything is figure outable, but also it's got to be realistic. And so that's the point I want to stress to everybody. Everybody comes to me with these kind of crazy ideas. And it's like, some of it is, I mean, we can figure it out. And the question is, can you put the right pieces together as the borrowing entity?
Correct.
Like you might need an operator come into the LLC with you as an owner, or at least, a vested interest or some sort, right? Like you got to paint a picture, guys, when you're looking for financing. You can't just think, oh, well, the guidelines say I can get 90% financing. Well, if that's an established business. So I think you got to like kind of set this tone. So kind of circling back to the webinar, if you want to learn about all this, including how to get one up and running, and then all the templates Vinny's building out, for residential assisted living. And maybe if you join his mastermind ongoing, he can share with you as he builds out all the templates and infrastructure to run these things, kind of to systematize, right, Vinny? You got to systematize. Like you're now
very exciting. It's systematized. You're so right, brother. I mean, we are having everyday meeting now with our operator manager, Monica and I. We had 1.5 hour yesterday. We have 1.5 hour today. So it's that, we are transferring the license in this one in Scottsdale. So we will have the license ready in just 2 weeks. It will be transferred to our name. So we are already touring and getting the home ready. So lots of things go into it, to get prepared to buy, then the materials, the marketing materials, who will be the caregivers, how you're going to qualify, all those things. So it's real estate and it's also operations. And they are two different things. So it's very important that you understand, you learn, and then you go slowly build the second, third, fourth. But the systems have to be good. Yeah.
What I'd like to see, Vinny, and I think this would be great, is as you're making these progress steps, create notes and then turn this into a playbook, right? Because as you're going through, you're opening 2 new locations right now. So document everything you're going through. Document, what's required to put in the room. Are we going to put TVs in the bedrooms or no? Or do we, what kind of beds are you getting? Where are you ordering? What's the price point? What kind of bedding? What kind of linens, right? Because even though that doesn't seem like it matters, it kind of does. Because, older people, they might have accidents, right? Like you need to know all this stuff, right? And like, slip carpets in the bathrooms. And then identify, like, I think this would be interesting to just document the journey, and then you could create an ebook on it or like a playbook. I think that would be really good for your students in your mastermind.
Fantastic. Very good point, and you're right. I am writing a lot of things, but I like that, detailed points like a playbook. I love that idea. And the new person coming on board, in my mastermind, I can just give the playbook to them. They won't have to, go through thousands of dollars. Some of the coaching people are charging 30, 40, 50,000. I found out even 100,000 to teach, how to buy their first RAL. And that's okay. It's their business plan. But in my case, we just do it all in that same syndication, multifamily, RALs, hotels, franchises, all in there so that people can really understand. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can show them templates on your FF&E furnitures, fixtures, and equipment template, your projections template, right? How to make your projections for SBA financing. These are all things that are it's not rocket science, but if there's a template, it'll make your process easier as you're going through this journey. And then how you're able to either use seller financing or private bridge loans, because you're buying something that might not be licensed and you need to get it licensed prior to closing. So if you get short-term debt, that could be eligible for an SBA loan. So, and then, all those things put together, and then the operations playbook, and then the hiring, the SOP on how to hire the operator, SOP on how to hire the aides, and then the SOP on like measuring KPIs. So, the business is running efficiently. And then what's realistic for a ramp up? If we've got 10 beds, how long is it once we've got our license in hand and we're ready to open our doors? How long will it take us to optimize and to fill those 10 beds? Is it 2 months? Is it 5 months? What is that?
Correct.
What is that going to look like? Because this is really, at the end of the day, what you can forecast, because you're going to need X amount in working capital, right? Because if you only get one resident your first month, and your overhead's 20 grand or whatever, you're only getting 5,500 per bed, plus you're paying staff. I mean, like you're 15, 18 grand in the hole. And how long until you break even, and how long can you start seeing a little profit? I think that will help people really forecast the capital requirement, because a lot of people don't had their needs. Now with SBA financing, we can build in working capital on most of these deals. But I think it's important because like people just say, oh, I can do this for this, but then they go, well, I'm missing 100 grand of working capital. Where am I going to get that from? And so that's what we try to structure in the SBA finance.
So true, so true. And the exciting part is it's a journey and it's a big landscape. I mean, 4,000 seniors, 85 years and older are turning, like from their aging into 85 years every night, 4,000 people. So lots of, a need is there. And if you build a good brand and in certain area where you want to really be having 1, 2, 3, 4 RALs, I say, kind of like a cluster, then you can build the brand and give the, service. And also when the funnel comes, different seniors come, you can have medium and then lower and higher. That's another way to do it also, where you could have the more expensive home RAL and then medium size and then the lower size. So there are different ways to skin it, but you're so right. It's big thing because operation is the one that brings money. Real estate will appreciate, but it's the operation end of it is so important. As for each RAL, we figure it out. We need like 3 caregivers because it's a 24-hour operation. So 2 for the day and 1 for the night. And then we have the operator with a license who will be managing and making sure. And those, they make the cooking is all done there and servicing and daily activities, all those things. So it's a good feeling business. That's the other part, which that you're contributing to the local area, to the seniors and giving them health. You want them to live longer so that they can enjoy their life.
I think kind of my observation is if you really look at this business, I think a lot of people try to get into it and a lot of people fail in residential assisted living, because if you look at the two assets that you have recently acquired, it's the same scenario, right? Like, so I think like a lot of real estate investors looked at this as a new asset class, right? Like the problem is this isn't just real estate, it's a business. And I think a lot of people don't have the skill sets. Like guys, like, if you think you're just going to open your doors, there's a big learning curve. I think like, like a lot of people get into things thinking, oh, it's going to be, all I do is, get an operator and market and then fill the beds. There's a lot to this business. It's like, you've got a huge responsibility because you got people that you're taking care of, and a huge, right? Like it's a big responsibility. And so what was interesting is that the first one you bought, right, was a real estate investor that was converting it to a residential assisted living, and they decided not to operate it looked like, right? So
correct.
So I think you'll see a lot of failure in this business if you don't take this business seriously, because it's got a lot of moving parts. It's very dynamic. It's not as easy as like, hey, I could just open up doors and get like, there's a lot. You got to make sure you get the right people in the right seats, because if you don't, you're going to fail.
Yes. So true, Beau. You said it so right. Actually, in my mastermind also, lots of, my students are asking, Vinny, what's the difference between multifamily, and RAL, residential assisted living? Even if multifamily of 14 units or 18 units or 20 units, you can have one manager who will collect the rents, and now they are not bothered for the whole month by I should say bothered, but the residents are living and they go to work, they come back. If they have some repair to be done or whatever, once in a while they let the office know. So multifamily is a very less involvement from the management, I would say. Operation side, you just collect the money, deposit the money, pay the bills, and you're done. So the whole month is very different kind of record keeping and everything. But in residential or even centers, we call it assisted living centers of 20, 30, 40, 50 units. But residential is like 6 people in like California we talked about, or 10 people over there in Arizona. I think it's 16 people can be in one residence in Texas, I was told. I'm not there yet. But the key thing is this is operation. So it's a 24-hour operation with the seniors, medication, eating, and exercising and bathing if they need it. Things like that all are involved on a daily basis, 24 hours. So that's the difference. And that's why we have one manager operator who can, in Arizona, can oversee only 2 RALs. So one can have 2 licenses, or their license can be put on 2 RALs only. That's what it is. Actually, it's the same license, but at 2 homes. And then the operator will be hiring 3 employees, let's say, or team caregivers for each of the home. Yeah. So total we'll have like 7 on the payroll, 7 people. That's all, and then it's again, we hired our operator has 18 years of experience. So and she's been here 27 years. And then she's been, she's got all kind of certifications, and she's able to bring all her techniques and all the forms, all the requirements and everything to the business. So when we gave her, got her on board with the salary and bonuses and everything and insurance and all. So it's something, some operator will be taking care of a lot of things that I don't know and Monica doesn't know, right? So we are learning this residential, but she'll be the in charge, just like we've been managing multifamily and other assisted livings in Florida. We are not there on the site, but now we are devising systems so that we can be working with. SyncWise is one software that we had a demo with, and this is a whole prescription software. So as the seniors come in, what their medications are, timing, caregivers, they also clock in and out and everything, and then they who they are taking care of, what resident, all that. So it's a very good system. Then Workday, I think Monday is another software which is very nice software which lots of RALs use, and we are getting into that one. So I think in Workdays where the pictures of the seniors, no, that's another one. Sorry, that's another software where their pictures can be shared with their families, so that way. Yeah. So these are all, it looks like complicated, but my thinking is, when I taught syndication, the 3,000-pound gorilla, I turned it all into like spinning of plates, 5 plates, and the similar situation I'm also designing for RAL to, in simpler terms, what step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should be, and then how to master it. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty good business, and one can learn.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all layers. And like, you wonder how these companies get so big. It's because they have really good systems and processes.
Yes.
They know how to
Yes.
they know how to hire and retain the best employees, right? That run the business for you essentially, and then they work on the business as the owner. So if you're able to do that, my point earlier was, it's not like set it and forget it though. This has a lot more variables, and it's a lot more high stakes because you have people at stake, not like you have 24/7 care of somebody's mom or dad. It's a big responsibility. So, you got to take, you can't take this lightly. It is a business, not just a real estate play. Why I love this is because it's a business with real estate, and that's the most powerful type of investment you can make, I think.
For sure.
right? You get
For sure. Totally.
yeah,
Just like hotels also, right? You're taking care of the residents on a daily basis kind of thing. Apartments, it's like monthly basis, we call it, right? And they pay rent. But in the hotels also, it's a very intensive day-to-day operation business actually in the hotels, and that's another good part in it. Now storage units are just like apartments. It's just people pay rent and they put their things in the storage unit. Mobile home parks, very similar to apartments. Now Airbnb is more intense business, where you get involved, or you have your team member involved in making sure that people are coming in for 2 days, 3 days, like that. So it's more involved. And franchise, like we talk about, franchise also, some are quite hands off, some are a little bit involved, because you want to be sure that the operator, the employee, team members are all working. Now, in the home care business, can we talk a little bit about that? Actually,
sure.
somebody was just mentioning to me last night. We had a happy hour meeting with my friends, and they were saying, some people were looking into some home care for seniors, because so many franchises are there. And to be very truthful, if the seniors can afford to stay at their primary residence, and they can afford to have some services come and bathe them and everything and exercise, or even have a full-time nurse there or whatever, right? So if they can afford to, that's best for them.
Yeah, I remember Vinny. We met with the franchise, and we were
We
talking about
did.
them. They were okay. So there's stages. Look, in the beginning stage, nobody wants to go live anywhere. They want to stay in their house. So the first stage of this ecosystem is we retrofit the house. We put in hand bars in the bathroom, things on the stairs to help them get up the stairs, like handrails, and then. Because most people would rather age in place. Just think about yourself. Would you want you would rather age in place first?
Totally.
Then at some point it's just too cumbersome. You don't have the financial capacity to have somebody 24/7 at your house personally. The next logical move is not to go to a big box assisted living facility. It's to go stay in the neighborhood in a beautiful home, and it's not that big of a change for you. And then you go there. And then at some point, now you need more hands-on care because maybe the dementia has gotten in too much, right? And then there's, another place you could go, but you're going to spend a few years in a residential assisted living. And then there's a progression, right? At some point, there's hospice, and that's just the way life is that, there's a progression. So to me, it makes sense that most people want to stay at their house. Some of them can afford it. Some of them can't. Next progression is private pay, residential assisted living. And then from there, they're going to stay there as long as they can until,
surely,
right? Depending on the stages that they come in. So the thing is, there's a big percentage of people that had home care, they move into a big box assisted living facility, and they still, that home care person stays with them because they're familiar with them, and they go visit them at the ALF or at the residential assisted living. So you're going to see that in this, and that's interesting. We looked at it. To me, the business home care is really a staffing business, though. So if you don't mind being in the staffing business, it's a good business.
And we talked about also senior meals, I think was one more. I mean, there are all different franchises, or even you could start your own also, so those are quite a few ideas.
So we need to buy a domain name. Vinny, remind me, I'm going to buy a domain name. So when we do future events, I can just go to residentialassistingliving.com, and then it takes them to the link to RSVP. Because we don't have one. Oh my
gosh, okay.
So that's what I normally do with my events. So we'll do it for this. So we have a call to action.
Wonderful.
And then we just send people and we point it, and then we don't have to give them a big long link. We just go to residentialassistedliving.com, and that'll take you to. So we're doing a webinar next week. If this comes out, you're going to get it. Go to Beau Eckstein, my name, beaueckstein.com /events, and it's right there. That's the easiest way to tell you right now. In the future, we're going to have some kind of residential domain, which will be for future events that are hosted. And then we'll just tell you to go there. And that will be easier as we do this, because this is our first webinar on residential assisted. Then he's done plenty on his big box assisted living, but this is the first one on residential. So we hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, we'll see you guys. Hey, again, follow us and comment and reach out to us if we can be of any help to you. And it's such a pleasure, have you watch us and see our progress. We are learning as you are also learning. And I think the key thing is to really take time to understand as we are growing younger and younger. I never say older. You do want to stimulate mind and have some kind of side business, cash flowing business. That will be really good. All right, brother. See you next week, Beau. Thank you.
All right. See you guys.